Okay. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? As you know, I am Juice Winner, and this is Old York Gritty, where we talk about everything under the sun, but it must be real. Right? So, as you know, we've been reading Keys to Masonry, right? In its secret chambers. We're up to chapter 15, where the subtitle is A Very Important Development of the Design and Methods of the Conspirators. So, I'm gonna take it into assumption that he's talking about how they perform these acts, right? And so he's going to present some evidence. By the way, before we get started, please don't forget, to hit the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell so you can be notified whenever new content is being uploaded. Plus, this is my book, Street Skillsy, Knock 'em Out the Box. Excuse me. Check it out. It's about two brothers on opposite sides of the law who must team up in order to find their father's killer or killers. Pennell Purper was a prominent businessman throughout Harlem, and he was found on the side of the road with no clues to his death. Now, one of his sons is a New York City detective who teams up with his partner in order to try to obtain the clues to his father's killers, basically trying to get in front of his brother, who was determined to get the answers in a whole different way. Okay, thank you very much. So let's get into this right here. Okay. It goes, the following extracts commence on page 153 of the evidence, and Rubens took them from papers procured in the ways already specified. No person is no person of observation can read them without seeing the directions within given by the atheists of the last century or closely followed by the Masonic conspirators of the present day. The great strength of our order lies its concealment. Let it never appear in any place it is own name, but always covered by another name and another occupation. We already said that, Freemasonry, once it comes on the streets, it have these different identities, Moors, you know, ADOS, ABO, Nation of Islam, all of these groups are all actually Freemasonic groups. Nubian Nation. So let's go. Always occupations. None is fitter than the three lower degrees of Freemasonry. The public is accustomed to it, expects little from it, and therefore takes little notice of it. Next to this, the form of a learned or literary society is best suited to our purpose. And had Freemasonry not existed, this cover would have been employed. And it may be much more than a cover. It may be a powerful engine in our hands. By establishing reading societies and subscription libraries, taking these under our direction and supplying them through our libraries, we may turn the public mind which way we will. So this is one of the tactics, right? And literary societies is the most proper form for the introduction of our order into any state where we were yet strangers. In like manner, we must try to obtain the influence in military academians. This may be of mighty consequence. Let him that readeth understand. Comment as unnecessary. Were it not be that the book from which we quote was published in 1798, and that we see this fact in the imprint and the ancient appearance of the type and book, we would be tempted to think that the above was a life picture taken by an eye and ear witness of the doings of the present time. And that's, and mind you, he's saying 98, and here we are in 2023, and I'm showing you it's still echoing, right? In print, ancient appearance, and types of books, we would be tempted to think that the above life, present time. A short time ago, I called at the house of my presiding elder, who is a Mason, when a young man brought an armful of books and laid them on the table before me and requested me to give him my opinion as to whether he should read them. I glanced over one and then another and told him that it would be very unsafe for him to read them. That much of the teaching was dystical, infidel, anti-Christian. The I inquired where the presiding elder got them, and was told that they were sent him as a president. They were liable, if I remember rightly, the Boston subscription library. Look out for such libraries and such benevolence, and for literary societies, for we are here assured that such a society may not only be a cover but a powerful engine in the hand of the atheist, for it is the most proper form for the introduction of our order into any state where we were strangers. Look out for your military academies, and be sure to remember that the great strength of our order lies in concealment, and that it must never appear in any place in its own name, but always covered by another name and another occupation. As we said again, it should never come under, the name Freemasonry. It should always come under a different name, and supposedly doing a different thing. That's how you know that, this masonry is truly working, right? Because their job is to infiltrate, set up, and cause, confusion, by these literary texts and things of those nature. You see that with Malachi York, in his books of all cause things to ask this person, things that to cause confusion. right? Covered by a name and another occupation, such as the Temple of Honor, Good Templar Lodge, Sons of Temperance, and Company and Company. But observe, none is fitter than three lower degrees of masonry. The public is accustomed to it, accept little from it, and therefore takes little notice of it. From this, it will be seen that the fooleries of masonry were used to cover its villainies, for on this very account the public expected little from it and therefore took little notice in it. Little notice of it. But this day has gone by, therefore, we may expect the conspirators to hide under any other name or pretense, right? But always something very good, of course. Therefore, whoever will oppose their movements will be hunted down as the enemy of our righteousness. Verily, this is not the time for Christians to close their eyes and go to sleep, especially if they are watchmen on the walls of Zion. Mark the following also. The power of the order must surely be turned to the advantage of its members. All must be assessed they must be preferred to all persons otherwise of equal merit. Money, services, honor, goods, and blood must be expended for the full proved brethren. Truly, there is little chance for the Cowan where Masonry has the power. Will Masonry control the appointments and the offices of the church? It is quite evident that there is no chance for the poor preacher who happens to be a Cowan, and surely a need not tell anyone of that Masonry is ruling power in the Methodist Episcopal Church today. Nor need anyone wonder why there are so many Masons, seeing the advantages of the brotherhood are so very great. The the proclamations of good forth has gone forth. All these will be given. All these I will give unto thee if thou wilt fall down and worship me. And down they fall at the feet of Satan, a motley multitude of adulterous apostates, many money and blood. It deserves a passing remark that this is the very language which Dewood Clinton used in his secret communications to the lodge with regards to Morgan's book. It must be suppressed if it should cost money and blood. And Rubin's remark, all evidence that this was not only their instructions, but also their attitude practice, adocious practice. Take the following repos from Greece, the name given to Bavaria and Cato handwriting. And Munch, there is a well constituted meeting of Illuminati majors. a meeting of excellent Illuminati minors, a respectable Grand Lodge, and two minerals assemblies. There is a Minville assembly at Phrasing, at Landsberg, at Bergsing, at Strasbourg, at Ingolstadt, and at last at Regenberg. With regards to the last place named, Mr. Rubens has the following note. In the small, turbulent city, there were 11 secret societies of Masons, Roscians, Cal- Clev- clairvoyants, and company. My fault. Okay. Mark the above associates, Masons, Roscian clairvoyants, and mark for how this vow fraud changes its name, but its nature never. That's why I'm naming all of these groups within the urban community, because even though they changed their name, I can easily identify them by their works. At the anti-Masonic convention in Chicago, where I tell everybody it's like a mecca for masonry. In fact, Chicago, a Reverend Doctor earnestly urged us to confine our oppositions to masonry and let the other secret societies go unheeded. I mentioned this in regard other against this mistake. To be able to fight this enemy, this pirate, we must be able to distinguish him under any colors. I agree with him wholeheartedly. That's why I identified him in the urban community so you can know these groups. I don't care what name they come under. Once you see what we are talking about, you should be able to identify them within your community and your time frame. Mark, following extracts from the same report of Cato. With Munch, we have brought a house, and by clever measures have brought things so far that the citizens take no notice of it, and even speak of us with esteem. We can openly go to the house every day and carry on the business of the lodge. This is a great deal for this city, and the house is a good museum of natural history and apparatus for experiment. Also, a library which daily increases. The garden is well occupied by botanic specimens, and the whole has the appearance of a society of zealous naturalists. I give the above show I give the above to show how the conspirators work, always covered by another name in another occupation. Such were their presentations while they were working for the destruction of everything dear to man. And they managed the whole so cleverly that the citizens took no notice. Yea, they spoke of the conspirators with esteem. All this is masonry, exactly. Mikado has not yet told all his secrets. Hear him. The widow Duchess has set up her academy entirely according to our plan, and we have all the professors in the order. Five of them are excellent, and the pulpits will be prepared for us. We have got plates put at the heads of the five, and he has the church money at his disposal. Our ghostly brethren have been very fortunate that last year, for we have procured for them several good benefits, praises, tutorships, and company, though our means, Harmonious and Cortez, have gotten professorships, and many of our younger brethren have obtained bursaries by our help. All the German schools and the Benevolent Society are at last under our direction. We have got several zealous members in the courts of justice, and we are able to afford them pay and other good additions. Lately and lastly, we have got possession of the Bartholomew Institution for young clergymen, having secured all its supporters. Through this we shall be able to supply Bavaria with fit priest. But a letter from Philo, who learned that one of the highest dignitaries in the church was obtained for a zealous illuminist in opposition even to the authority and right of the bishop of Speyer. We have now seen the principles and plans of the conspirators as taught and concordated in their lodges. We have also seen how the plans were executed and how the teachings were practiced to the letter. And observe most of this information is from correspondence of the leading conspirators, so that it can be rejected as the testimony of perjured wretches. And having seen all this, we see exactly what Masonry has done and is doing to this country. Only it has been much more successful here than it has been on the continent of Europe at the time of the above divulgence. Well, that's due to the fact that that's the head. It's easier to work within Europe and not have the conflict, because it's not supposed to be done to, your sisters, your brothers, sisters, wives, and all of that. Your fellow, system. Okay, where we at? Control now almost every church school office is under its control, and it gives the most desirable to its most reliable servants, and those placed under their teachings and influenced are, as soon as far as possible, prepared for the lodge. Look after your sons whom you have sent to higher schools to complete their education, the fraternities. It may be that they are already in some of the lodges, and so far corrupted that the Bible as an inspired book has no influence upon them. It may be you have started them in business or in some of the learned professions, but finding that masonry claimed to have power to give them success or blast their prospects. They have already sold themselves so that their hearts and lips are closed to you forever. If this is not the case, you have great reason to be thankful and should do your utmost to put them on their guard and save them from that snare of the devil to be caught in, which is 1,000 times worse than death. It may be that the man who professes to be your spiritual guide is himself in the lodge, and having obtained his appointment by the influence of the lodge, feels himself under obligation to return the kindness of speaking well of it and drowning and drawing others to it. If so, be vigilant, or your sons will be in the lodge, and your daughters in its side chambers, as star sisters or noble grand and company and company. If, however, you permit the conspirator to laugh you of your senses, so that you shall turn a deaf ear to every warning, you must abide the consequences. We have delivered our souls. Bad as are the particulars divulged in the above extracts, they are far more being the works of they belong to the lower degrees. The higher mysteries, say Rubens, were conferred only by Spartacus himself from papers which he never entrusted to any person. They were only read to the candidate, but no copy was taken. The publisher of the Nestia Osterberg says that he has read them in, say, Groman. So says Groman. He says that in the first degree, the Magas or Philippius, the doctrines are the same. With these sposias, there where all is material, God is the word, are the same thing. In all religions, whatever is without foundation, and the country. Pardon me. Pardon me. Don't forget, check out Street Skelzy. Knock him out the box. This is Old York Gritty. And this is my merch I'm giving away to the 200 subscriber, a free coffee mug, and a copy of my novel, Street Skelzy, Knock him out the box. While you here, let me update you. We are reading Keys of Masonry, and this is chapter 15, where we are doing a breakdown on how they attack the psyche, right, in order to control the people by the art of chicanery. By the way, don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell so you can be notified whenever new content is being uploaded. All right. This agrees exactly where we at without foundation and the contrivance of ambitious men. This agrees exactly with Borrow, whom I have quote in conspiracy number two. But all the mysteries, so called high and low, were transferred to this country and may be found in the higher degrees of masonry. The 28th degree alone contains the substance of the whole. No grosser system is atheism. They that were taught can be found anywhere, nor can you find anywhere a more bitter expression of hatred to Christianity than that which may be found in that degree. I might not pass over the following extracts which Robinson gives us on page 169 and 170. Brutus writes, Nimrius now acquires in the mortality of the souls, but I fear we shall lose because Lud Ovicus Bovius. He told Spartacus that he was mistaken when he thought that he had swallowed his stupid masonry. No, he saw the trick and did not admire the end that acquired it. I don't know what to do, as Steuben would make him mad and he will blow us all up. The order must process the power of life and death and consequence of our oath, and with prosperity for the same reason and by the same right that any government in the world possesses it, for the order comes in their place, making them unnecessary when things cannot be otherwise, and ruin would ensue if the association did not employ this means. The order must as well be public rulers employ it for the good of mankind, therefore for its own preservation, nor will the political constitution suffer by this, for there are always thousands equally ready and willing to supply the place. Here, Mr. Robinson observes, we do not wonder that Demades told the professors that death, inevitably death, which from which no protector, I guess it could protect them, awaited every traitor of the order, nor that the French convention prospered to take off the German prince and generals by sword or by poison. Observe that the coolness those conspirators write to each other about the trick and about the end of which it is employed. Observe, too, they call their system masonry, and this of them was not prepared to swallow stupid masonry. at least not the whole of it, particularly its atheism. Mark II, with what coolness it is asserted that the order must possess the power of life and death. But that most wonderful thing of all is the argument which they employ to prove that all the right and good, all this is right and good. Mark it for the same reason and by the same right that any government in the world possesses it, for the order comes in their place, making them unnecessary. All government, elastical and civil, must be done away, and the government of masonry alone remain, and death to all who will not submit to it. And all this is claimed to be quite right from two considerations, namely the preservation of the order and the good of mankind. Surely this is plain enough, and who has not heard Masons assert this much and sustain, though not quite so plainly? Wait. Substance through, though not quite so plainly, and as the death of consequence of our oath that they openly assert to be right, to be ignorant of the character and designs of this system, despite such abundant evidence, is criminal. Indeed, few can now honestly say that they are ignorant as to these things. I presume they are few who have not heard of the mysteries of masonry, but all do not know the trick. See, he's telling you it's a magic trick, like I tell you. The following from What's Up may tend to open their eyes. And this is Illuminism, Illuminati, right? Of all the means I know to lead men, the most effectual is the concealed mystery. The hankering of the mind is irresistible. And if once a man has taken it into his head that there is a mystery in anything, it is impossible to get it out, either by argument or experience. And then we can so change notions by merely changing a word. That more contemptible than fan- fantasism, but call it enthusiasm. Then add a little word, noble, and you may lead him over the world. Nor are we in these bright days a bit bitter than our fathers, who found the pardon of their sins mysteriously contained in a much greater sin, namely leaving their family and going barefoot to Rome. And the amount is this, although there is nothing in the lodge but atheism and Jesuitical trickery. Yet, if you confidently assert that there is sublime mysteries there, you will draw in multitude of fanatics. My fault. But you must not call them fanatics, nor allow others to do so. On the contrary, insist that they are noble enthusiasts. This done, you may lead them over the world. So instead of ridiculing them, you pander it, and that's how you can push them to whatever direction. Well, it cannot be denied that as a Jesuit, what's up was a keen observer of the propensities of corrupt humanities, nor can be denied that his bait has caught vast multitudes, and among them Methodist preachers in great abundance. And as to those little baits, noble, grand, worshipful, and company, men as well as men, or women as well as men, are nibbling at them with great eagerness. And having swallowed the bait, hook and all, Masonic atheists are leading them over the world. To catch a certain kind of fish, a few words from the Christian vocabulary are introduced. Just as the angler uses a feather or a fly to attract a certain kind of fish. A few days ago, a gentleman said to me that his pastor told him he verily believed that John the Baptist and John the Evangelist were Masons. The gentleman added, from this time I could not but look upon him with contempt. And today, a lady who is a member of the church of which I am a pastor assured me that a Mason who also is a member told her yesterday that he had often heard the name of Christ mentioned in his lodge, and Reverend Doctor assured me that his name is mentioned in the degree above the Blue Lodge. And all this is to convince us that it is not without reason that they swallow Masonry with its oaths, symbols, atheism, idolatry, and blasphemy. No, marvel that Wassop stood amazed in view of such stupidity. But it is not less strange that he should fail to see that while he was deceiving others, he was equally deceived himself. While he was successful in deceiving others, the devil was equally successful in deceiving him. He who can see no difference between Christianity and the Jewessical trickery, he who prefers atheism to revealed religion, must be the blindest of the blind. Paul Wassup gives us a powerful proof of the truth of the inspired utterance, deceiving and being deceived. Okay, so that is chapter 15. That was a good one, right? This is the one I want to get into, which is chapter 16. As you can see, it's a lot in its description, but we will be getting into this when I come back. I close this out, like I said, I'll come back this early and I'll read that chapter. I love to see what that one is about because that one addresses how they use this system. I thought it was back to back. I didn't realize there was a chapter in between those. So, like I said, I'm Juice Runner. This is Old Jaw Gritty, where we discuss everything under the sun as long as it's real. Don't forget to hit that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell so you can be notified whenever new content is being uploaded. And yes, this is my book, Street Skelsy, Knock 'em Out the Box, right? Along with the Old Jaw Gritty mug I am giving away to my 200th subscriber, all the way up to 1,000. And we are out of here.